This is not a storm. In New York City, this is a mere dusting. And I've been here for my whole life, with a little bit in London. And this is ridiculous when they call a storm.
Pop quiz. How many of you watch the evening local news for the weather? Second part. How many of you are completely convinced that the weather person there will nail the forecast each and every time? All right, hands down, let's dive into the nearest reality snowbank, if you will. Let's welcome to MidPoint, professional meteorologist and weather forecaster, now chief forecaster with WeatherBELL Analytics, Joe Bastardi joins us. Joe, how you doing?
Very, very well, thank you.
I figured you're not snowed in, so all is good. Hey, let's start this conversation out right away with the fact that after the storm was over, a member of the National Weather Service decided to take it upon himself, felt very bad, and tweeted out an apology to everybody. My deepest apologies to many key decision makers and so many members of the general public. Joe, was this a smart thing to do?
Well, I believe it shows that the man has humility, understands what the atmosphere can do and how it can beat you. And he has a high standard. I would think he probably felt bad because after that office, Mount Holly, New Jersey, did such a great job during Sandy. I mean, people 2 days before, when the Weather Service really caught on, I watched that office because I come from South Jersey or grew up down there. They did a great job. So I'm sure he feels bad because after all, they gave him a big parade on the streets for all the lives he saved before, or that office saved before. What I'm saying is it spoke volumes to me as someone who's been in this business in the private sector for years and years that he would have such humility to do that. And I think that was, I don't know if I would have done it, but it showed me something about the man.
Okay, but wait a minute here. You're saying that you don't know if you would have done it too, and I agree with you. It's wonderful humility to see somebody take responsibility for this. But Joe, to apologize for weather forecasting when, let's face it, we are still dealing with Mother Nature. We are dealing with a complete unknown in many ways. And granted, we're better at it than what we might have been 10, 15 years ago, maybe 10, 15 months ago. But still, this is nature that just happens. The planet does things that we can't understand.
The argument about whether Gary apologizes or not, the guy who runs the office in Mount Holly, I think it's like a side issue. Okay, he did what he had to do because I believe his standards are high, and he sounds like a humble man, and that's what the weather will do to you. We had this for people who follow me on the WeatherBELL blog. 10 days away, warning people that there was going to be a huge storm near the eastern seaboard. And it is kind of heartbreaking. We always emphasize southeastern New England was going to get hammered the worst, always did. But we still had 15 to 20 inches of snow in New York and about a foot of snow across New Jersey. So on that western flank, 50 miles made a huge difference. Now, I've got to sit here and live with 50 miles over, something called 5-10 days away. I've got private clients in there out on Long Island. They're dancing in the streets because they were warned way before. No one else saw it until Saturday or Sunday. So that's how it is in this business. And in the private sector, it really gets rough. So I have a great deal of sympathy for him.
Okay, so a couple minutes that we have left here, Joe. What happened? Why did people get it so wrong in so many ways?
Well, we didn't get it so. I'm not going to speak for everybody else. 90% of the blizzard area that was warned got what was forecasted. The problem is the target was right over New York City. Now, suppose this was shifted west, where the target area that was of concern was Allentown, the Poconos, and places like that, and they didn't get it. People would have never known because New York did get it. So it was a prime population area that got it. And the other thing that's going on now is the onslaught of one system after another coming at the eastern United States, the cold spreading back into the central part of the United States. We outlined on January 15th that the period the 16th through the 10th would be very severe across the United States. You watch what starts happening now. There's one coming after another. And here's what happens, folks. You guys get 6-7 inches of snow on the ground. By the way, the official measurements in New York City in the 5 boroughs were 8 to 12 inches. That's just not any run-of-the-mill storm in New York. It occurs once every 2 winters, believe it or not. But the fact of the matter is that this kind of pattern, if you have 6 inches of snow on the ground, 3 inches fall, another 3 inches fall, another 3 inches fall, what happens is each of those storms looks like a new storm piling up snow on top of it. So you may get to a pretty cumulative high total that's going to stress people in those particular areas, and it's spreading back into the Midwest. Get ready. There's been a tremendous thaw out in the Midwest, classic January thaw, you guys are going to get brutally cold also and share in some of the misery to the east. And then your weather forecasters will be on the line too.
Joe, I only got about 30 seconds left, but knowing this is an inexact science, isn't it fair to say that the media, certain members of the media, really overhyped this thing with all this snowpocalypse stuff?
I think there's a meteorological media hype industry. Drive people to the site. Do this, do that. 3 people have to discuss one thing. It's maddening. You know, my dad's a meteorologist. Said I can't watch it anymore. 3 people discussing a line of showers coming through at rush hour or something like that. Yeah, I think it is. But listen, if it generates money for them, they're going to go do that. People have to eat and people have to get paid, right?
And look, I'll tell you what, if it saves one life, then maybe it's worth it all in the end. The days of Tex Antoine are long gone. There's trivia. Nobody else knows what I just said, but they'll figure it out.
I know who Tex Antoine is.
There you go. See? The weather guys know right away. Joe, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
All right. Those who want to be cops are tested for a myriad of issues and knowledge. How about psychological testing? That's next on MidPoint.